Hello Fit Summits, wherever you are in the world, I hope you are well. As we look at the current situation and we ask ourselves, is there light at the end of this long and dark tunnel? If we languish in that tunnel at the moment, we know as far as the US is concerned that deaths have now surpassed 250,000, and lead indicators would suggest they're on the way to 500,000 tragically. Reuters calculating one person dying every 15 seconds. And yet to come, the OECD suggests damage to the world's major economies as a result of the pandemic could be 4 times worse than the global financial crisis. Meanwhile, 6 vaccines have been approved for early or limited use to date, and that's good news. Closer to home in our part of the region, I think we're all thankful that things have a better outlook and perhaps have been handled reasonably well by comparison. Yet, when we look at what's really happening underneath, Singapore, for example, we know that 61% of Singaporeans working from home are reporting increased stress. Women and youth feeling the negative impact of the pandemic more significantly. Reportedly, that may mean that men perhaps don't express quite as much as others, but nonetheless, this tells us something. It presents potential opportunities as to how we can play a part in undoing some of that and correcting some of that societal stress. 67% of professionals now think their employer has a responsibility to support their mental health and well-being. For those of us who are in the fitness realm, we know that fitness has a significant effect on mental well-being due to the effect it has on a hormonal response post-exercise. So there are opportunities emerging. We truly are part of the solution to some of the problems experienced as a result of this pandemic. Piece from the US survey here. Nearly all members missed at least one aspect of physically being at their health club, whether they've taken up something else during the pandemic or not. Something about physically being there they've missed, be it the community, be it the experience of sharing a workout, just sharing a time with a friend in the gym. It's important, and that matters, and that's good news for our industry. And then in particular, 9 out of 10 who've returned to the gym since it reopened expressed complete confidence in safety precautions and cleanliness procedures. This is key. Confidence is absolutely key to bringing people back. And we know that we've got the data to support the claims. Originally, we asked ourselves, can gyms be safe? Now we're saying, well, if we follow those procedures, our staff are diligent, our members are diligent, and we really follow the correct SOPs, gyms are safe. And if we look at the data on the screen there, that's our business in Malaysia, tracking from early January to October 19th, 2.4 million workouts, 3 reported cases. That's 1 case per 800,000 workouts, and no sign of any reported transmission. If we look at Singapore, incredibly encouraging to see 1.65 million workouts and no reported cases. Thailand, 2 reported cases in 4.1 million workouts. 1 reported case for every 2 million workouts. And again, everywhere in our territory, no reported transmissions. That's very good news and very encouraging, and something we must remain diligent about, but we also must let people know about this when it matters, to give people the confidence to come back. So something that we've got to all continue doing is providing reassurance, communicating with members, social media, EDMs, whatever it may be, regular messages about meeting your goals, but doing it in a safe environment, allowing people to come back and see. Maybe we should encourage our members to just come back and check it out. Don't plan to work out, but come back and see and feel that it's safe for you before you commit. If you have data, if you've managed to extract data from your environment, or you can pull together with others to have good, accurate data that supports these safety measures, consider publishing it, consider reporting it to a local newspaper and having that data shared. But most importantly, use your messaging to thank your members for their compliance, because ultimately this is about individual behavior. If individuals play their part, then the sum of those parts is good news in providing safe environments. So let's make sure we all keep that up. Now, what has been the impact to date? It's been pretty brutal, if we're honest. Some anecdotal evidence here without getting into too many specifics. We've heard around the region some suppliers are reporting non-payment, and there have been some repossessions of gym equipment where the balance of payment has not been made. This is bad news. It's been a serious impact. Some gym groups reporting up to 50% of their members lost, and some reporting that's irrecoverable, not going to be able to survive that. So we're expecting to see some closures, very sadly. The aggregators, those who use apps to access gyms of various kinds, have lost inventory during the period, building back up to around 70% of capacity in some markets. A long way to go, trending in the right direction, but they've been impacted too. So we expect more outlets and closures to come, and when that happens, we expect some new money to come in, and potential buyouts from bankruptcy in some cases, and maybe asset sales in others. So there will be others who are looking to get into the industry, and some opportunities will present for new buyers and new investors to come in and take over, perhaps with stronger rental deals, and perhaps come from the bottom and move into a recovery mode under new ownership. Expect cost cutting and structural change to be prevalent in many big groups. Evolution Wellness is paying particular attention to this. We know how important it is to protect and mitigate against cost creep in order that we can ensure we have a strong and sustainable recovery. We know revenue is going to be suppressed for some time, and if revenue is suppressed and costs remain fixed, we have margin squeeze and a risk of not having a sustainable outlook. So that's key for everybody. And then we've seen a freeze or a slowdown of capital flow into the sector in general. That includes also franchise growth. We haven't heard much around openings. We ourselves are in talks with interested parties. We have some letters of interest signed, but people are not ready to deploy capital yet, and that's understandable. The pandemic is still here. It's not over yet. So you can expect a couple of quarters to go by before we start seeing the results of fresh investment and growth, but it will come. Now, momentum is building in our favor. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know exactly how long the tunnel is, but it is building. If we think about the press in the months that have gone past, we saw this kind of reporting about the industry is battling to survive, and we're calling for more leniency around the rules in our sector. This is from North America to Europe to the Middle East and to Asia Pacific. And as time went by, we then saw the data coming out, and really pressing governments to say, look at this data, you've got to recognize this and do something about it. And the great news is we started to see studies that showed exactly that, giving really good confidence. And very recently, just a couple of days ago, Professor Chris Whitty in the UK, the Chief Medical Officer, presented this article, and I just want to extract a couple of points from it. The second line there, he quotes, "There's no point in life where doing more exercise does not improve health in multiple ways." What a fantastic statement that we can latch onto. And at the bottom, he talks about outlining how the physical activity sector can partner with other sectors to support the creation of healthier and more resilient communities, and why government should strive to have a joined up approach to this. So when ministers start talking in that way, credibility for our industry rises, and that has to be a good thing for the future. So what are the tailwinds and the headwinds? Well, the way I look at it, I think tailwinds could perhaps be in four key areas. Firstly, new, pent-up and displaced demand. New demand, people who might have been looking for a health club anyway. Every month of every year, there's a new flush of people who are looking to take up a membership somewhere. They couldn't because we've been closed. Now, as we start to open up and COVID dissipates, that demand will be released. There's pent-up demand from people who had to withdraw or to freeze their membership that will start coming back in, and displaced demand from people who perhaps belong to a health facility that's closed down, and they'll be looking for somewhere else because they don't want to give up the habit. So that will present opportunities. The rising credibility of our sector will increase the numbers of eyeballs that look at us, and people will start to come towards us. It will also draw capital in our direction. as well. So as long as we keep our act up and we keep doing the good things we've been doing, this rise of credibility itself will create more momentum for our industry and have people consider taking up health and fitness in bigger numbers. There are deals to be done. The retail environment has been hammered, and the real estate environment has suffered as part of the pandemic too. So there are opportunities to strike longer term deals now when the prices are lower, and that's got to be a good thing if you're in a position to be able to do that. Not perhaps this minute exactly, but now is the time to be entering negotiations in order to take advantage of what is effectively a really low turn on the economic cycle. Now, of course, because our sector is attracting so much news, we are trending. People are talking about connected fitness, virtual fitness, wellness, mental well-being, the rise of yoga and new modalities of exercise. Lots and lots of attention being paid to our sector. And when that happens, it attracts dollars. It attracts private investors. It attracts institutional investors. And that is good for our sector because it really shines a spotlight on us and has people thinking about what can they do to participate. So those things together I call the big awakening. And I think we can expect to see that happen towards Q2 and Q3 of next year, particularly the second half of the year. We should see a resurgence of our industry. It's not all tailwinds. There are some headwinds. What might they be? Well, there's the downstream economic impact. Further along, we don't quite know how that's going to affect us, but we know there is going to be an impact. Perhaps there'll be more opportunity at the low cost end as people look to exercise economically. Perhaps there's an equal opportunity at the real premium end where people have been less affected because they have a high net worth or perhaps they have savings. So the middle area perhaps could be squeezed more than normal. There's what I call the lingering 10%. So we expect and we have evidence of a possibility to get to a 90% recovery in reasonable time. But that last 10% could be a bit harder because of displacement, because people who have stopped with the habit, who have started something else, maybe taken up a sport instead, maybe joined a different kind of club, maybe just stopped for a good amount of time because they've got out of that habit. So that last 10% could be an issue. Now, it could be replaced by new demand or displaced demand, but in the meantime, we've got to think about protecting costs if that last 10% of getting back to where we used to be is going to be compromised. And then whilst on the left-hand side there are deals to be done, there's also other landlords who are operating with a more short-term mindset who will not offer deals and who will ask for increases in rent and will demand that payments are made. Otherwise, they will close the doors. And that is going to affect certain businesses. We've closed 2 clubs already under such circumstances. I hope there won't be others, but it certainly will be an impact on the industry for a little bit more time to come yet. So what are the themes for 2021? Well, in short, I think it looks something like this. The highest standards of health, of hygiene and cleanliness will continue. This is a must, and in fact it's a great thing. It's great for everybody to make sure that we don't perpetuate illness within our environment. This is simply a good thing, and it will continue. This will be the new normal. Virtual and connected fitness will continue to trend. Virtual, in my own view, and evidenced by some research we've done with our member base, suggests that once things return to as near normal as possible, the virtual participation will drop somewhat in favor of returning to the real world, the connected community spirit kind of thing. But virtual will grow versus where it's come from, because some people will take a hybrid opportunity. Some of the real world bolted on with a little bit of virtual, so that if they're too busy or they get stuck in traffic, that becomes an option for them to do at home, and perhaps it's an option for them to do with their families. We hear a lot of evidence of people starting to exercise as a family, which has got to be a great thing, and that can be helped by virtual too. Connected fitness absolutely will continue to rise and perhaps be potentially disruptive. We may see it in the commercial space as well as the home space. It's the connected fitness where really rich data can help give you an edge in the workout that's the kind that will do well, not necessarily something that's connected for the sake of being connected and will just count your reps, for example. That's not necessarily disruptive, but there's some real innovation taking place, and we should expect to see that to continue. Recovery, low impact mindfulness and meditation, low oxidative stress, low inflammation regimes are going to be really important. The ability to exercise without pain. There's a big addressable market in that area, as well as mindfulness and meditation. The latter two are number 12 on the Global Wellness Institute Index this year and expected to be number 1 by 2023. So this presents more opportunity in the wellness space too. Nutrition. There'll be an increasing self-awareness of what's good for you, self-education, and the ability to access an abundance of information online will have people thinking more diligently about how they complement their exercise with their nutrition. So that offers opportunities with supplementation, with advice, and engaging with members in this area. A better way to keep a good dialogue with your customers. And then finally, corporate wellness, the health employee value proposition, or EVP. You saw earlier that employees are expecting, a majority of them are expecting their employer to play a part and to offer something as part of their employee value proposition. So as employers look to improve the offering that they have, it presents more opportunities for us. Whether you're a single store operator or a chain, whatever you are, there'll be opportunities to work with businesses in your area to help them deliver what their employees expect. So plenty of opportunities ahead. Now, whichever business you're in, I wish you the very best of luck, and here's to a brighter 2021.